no one really knows what's going to happen. But one thing's for sure, there will always be opportunities, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. The first biggest thing that I've noticed that is happening right now that you can probably pinpoint yourself is this emotion of fear just running all over the place. Last week, I opened up my emails and back to back, no joke, I had 3 or 4 big emails with big letters in all caps saying what you should do if you have a business during a recession. And back to back to back, I read all those emails and I promise you, it was all filled with this fear base of what to do. And most of the emails inside weren't really talking about opportunity, but on the contrary, that you should sell your business, that you should lower the amount of employees that you have. Imagine if you're reading this back to back to back to back. Well, obviously, the only feeling that you have is a feeling of fear and a feeling of what am I going to do, because there's really no way out. When in reality, that's not the case. What happens here is that people start to act on emotion and they don't really think things through because they just see this and this and this and this and they're like, well, I might as well hurry up before this whole thing crashes and burns, when that's definitely not the case. When we act fast and when we're not really thinking things through, that's when the biggest mistakes occur in business. And I totally get it. I'm on the other side. I like to think of myself as a complete optimist, but we have to take things in the past into consideration. I mean, look at the big event that just happened, the big pandemic. Well, most of the businesses that acted fast and acted quick weren't really able to open their eyes and see the huge opportunities that also happened during the same exact time. Businesses boomed, businesses started, businesses tripled, scaled all the way, but it was all about allocating and finding those opportunities. Because the reality is, people will always be consuming and people will always be spending. It's just finding exactly what the people are spending on. And that's where we look on the other side and we see businesses thrive. But for a business to thrive, especially when things are going on, it has to have these things. And these things are things that most online businesses struggle to create, but it's one of the easiest business in which to create it in. We're talking all about having that strong relationship with your audience. And yes, to grow an audience, you need that real relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can only talk about one thing, that you have to niche all the way down. Not necessarily. It's more about the community and what you've done in the past, what you'll continue to do that builds up that strong bond between one person and the person on the other side of the screen. Nowadays, we consume content differently. Therefore, we also spend differently because most of the times we're tied to something because of what's behind it. We spend in regards to the story, what's behind it, what's the moral, the mission of these different brands. And that is something that no matter what's happening, and not even in a recession, will that go away. It can decrease, we can see changes, but it's not going to change the fact that when we are tied to buying a certain product for a reason, we will do anything to buy that certain specific product rather than going to another product where we know nothing about who founded it, where we know nothing about the brand, where we know nothing about what the brand is doing, what incentives they have, what's the backstory, who they are helping out, what their mission is. That does not go away. The 3 top things that businesses need during a recession is number 1, transparency. Number 2, relationship. And number 3, opportunity. That transparency is totally key. For example, when you see prices increase and you walk into that Chipotle, they have that big flyer out there saying how much the prices of avocados have changed. Therefore, your side of guacamole is going to increase a full $1. Instead of you being a customer that comes to the line and you see that difference, you're already notified. You're notified in their messaging, in their digital presence, and in everything and every way that they communicate. They're making it known because they are transparent with the audience, and that is the best thing that can happen for any business during any type of change. It's that transparency and letting in the audience onto the story, making them become a part of like the team that's going through everything. The relation, just like I mentioned in the beginning, if you focus on that relationship, on building that relationship rather than creating content that just sells, it's very, very different because they're also part of what is going on. You have built in that relationship where they know what's the back end of the business and why they should keep on supporting it. In terms of opportunity, if you think about the recession, if you think about in the past what the spending power has been like, you can kind of pinpoint around what types of businesses will also thrive during something like a recession. Businesses that are built on media. Media is something that consumers don't stop consuming just because there's a recession, just because maybe they have a limited amount of spending power. On the contrary, media might actually climb because it's something that everybody can do for pretty much free from anywhere, from any device, and all over the world. Another type of business that thrives in this environment is businesses built on affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is something that we've seen start to build up, and that's not going anywhere. When people are more inclined to trusting other people and then shopping that way, that's when you see word of mouth grow bigger and bigger and bigger when people can recommend. That's another business that you, as the business creator, you can also earn from being an affiliate of your favorite products. You can also share it with your friends, and that can be a whole business model that you run that's very easy to also tie it to your content. And I have lots of videos that cover how to do that. Last but not least, an opportunity that most businesses just kind of jump over, don't even consider having, is involving and accepting different types of method payments, offering different ways to pay, maybe different payment plans that make it a lot easier for the person to still buy that same product or service, just in more payments that are spread out, so that it makes it easier for that audience that is such a fan of your product and service to continue to consume, maybe even while spending power is limited. So the reality is there will always be opportunities because people are still consuming. When people consume, people spend, and therefore businesses can still thrive. So it's up to you to come up with the opportunities. Let me know in the comments. And of course, stay tuned next week for the next video right here on this same exact channel. Bye-bye. We about to make it happen.